Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Tim Vaxelbob Show. My name is Tim Vaxelbob, according to my state ID card. Hey, I don't fucking know. I just started laughing because I didn't want to continue on with the stupid joke about nothing. I was gonna say, actually, let's actually move on. Let's not do the thing I just said I would. So here's what I was going to do. I was going to say, I don't actually have a state ID. I have a driver license. It's not a driver's license. It's just a driver license because it's the time before grammar. It's the time before we invented grammar. I'm thinking here. I'm sorry for the dead air. I think it literally says on my driver's license, driver license. I could check. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to walk out of the room just to get my driver license. But I'm pretty sure it says driver license, not driver's license. Which it does make sense. Driver's license doesn't make sense, but it's what we're used to. It's what I'm used to from the Midwest. From the Midwest, from up there, we say driver's license. I think most people in America say driver's license. You have a driver's license? You don't really say, you have a driver license? Driver license? That sounds, I don't want to say it, but gay. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, I'm not saying that in a way that I want to get demonetized, because that's not relevant. I'm not getting paid to do this, and I can't be fired from my job. So that's not a problem. The problem is I don't want to say that like it's a bad thing that it's gay to say like a driver license. Do you have a license to be a driver? Okay, it's only when you say it in the phrase, when you say it in one word. Do you have a driver license? Like, what are you asking, if I'm gay or something? No, I have a driver's license, like a normal human being. No, but it actually just says, if you actually pull the card out, it actually says, if you pull the card out of wherever, of the slot, whatever slot you keep it in. I keep my driver's license in a slot. In my wallet, to be specific. It's usually in a slot. It says driver license. What the hell? And that explains why people can't drive, because it's so easy to get these things that just say something that doesn't even. I have a license to be a driver. Okay, it makes sense, but it doesn't sound proper. It doesn't sound proper. You have a driver license? Are you high? You're sure you're licensed to be a Can I ask, do you have a police license? How about that? Do you have a policing license? Notice how I said something that makes sense grammatically. I didn't say, do you have a police license? Which also doesn't kind of make sense. Do you have a police license? That doesn't make sense. No, I'm a police officer. You don't need a police license. I'm an officer. I have a badge. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. It's just, cops don't even have to have licenses. They just have badges, which are not licenses. I don't know if you know. They're just cool metal badges that mean nothing. They just were given by the department. The department cares about those things. They go, that's the badge. That's a badge that we give to the police. But that's just for fun. You could be a police officer without a stupid badge. I don't actually know. I'm just talking out of thin air. I'm assuming that it's not the badge that makes you a police officer. That's all I'm saying. I'm assuming it's some other paperwork in a file. Like there's a license of some kind that makes you a police officer. You're on a force. I actually don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm assuming there's a bar that you have to pass the exam to get a police officer, and it could be revoked. And then you can no longer practice police work any state, That's how I think it works. But how it might also work, which is probably also totally not true. It has to be one or the other, or something else. It has to be either one, the other, or something totally different, or maybe something else different. Maybe it's like 5 possibilities. Anyway, it's either one or the other, though. It's either you have a badge, or you have a license, or you just get hired as a cop. That's it. Maybe you just get hired as a cop. Maybe you go for an interview, and they go, "Have you ever been a policeman? Have you gone through the academy?" You go, "Yeah, a long time ago." Long time ago, when they made it so you actually kind of had to be. They actually taught you to profile back then. But yes, I went through it. They go, "Okay. Were you any? I don't know. I'm just guessing how." Okay, let's get to what I know. You didn't tune in to see some guy talk about something he didn't know nothing about, did you? Well, then if you did, I'm giving you what you wanted, and I have nothing to apologize for. And yeah, the reason I'm being hostile is because, I don't like being told that I'm doing something wrong. I don't like being made felt that I'm fucking up somebody's day when I'm not. Hey, maybe this is exactly what you tuned in for on your radio dial. It goes, you have to crank it very far to get this program, because it's not on FM. Pretty sure it's not on AM. That, if it is, what episode? Like, how do they decide when to air each episode? Is it just on 24-hour, like a 24-hour stream? Because that'd be cool. Anyway, I'm not involved in any of that shit, so you'd have to crank that shit very far until it reaches another completely type of medium called the World Wide Web. It just literally just RSS feeds. Still since 2006. Podcasts haven't changed. It's just an MP3 that downloads to your device through the internet. It's very simple, and I've never done it. Technically, I first put out a podcast probably in 2008 or some shit like that. Who knows? Like a podcast? Don't remember. I did live radio. I did internet radio. That was even cooler. That was streaming audio before video was possible. Because this was even with broadband internet. They called it broadband internet. That was cool. That was a good thing to have broadband internet. That allowed you to stream audio. Now we could stream video. And look how happy that makes us. It makes us not very happy because the content, it's good, actually. It's actually really good when you see content in 4K. It's awesome. To stream it, even better. We live in a great time where bandwidth, it just goes through these tiny little tubes, which is what Bill Gates or Al Gore talked about. He invented this thing. I don't know. He said, the internet's just a series of tubes. Like, yeah. Connected. It's a network. Something has to be connected. There's you could call it, tube. A wire, a cable. Looks like a tube. He was right. So, some of it's wireless. But, that's just waves. It's just like radio waves that gotta be collected somehow. And you need wires. You need some cable. We're not like, you can't just have a system that's no wires. I don't know, maybe we can. We can. There's not a lot of wires in computers anymore. It's really just, everything's solid state or modular that just clunks together with no wires. And I'm an idiot. I sound like a child who's just discovered electricity. So yeah, we have a lot of advanced things that connect together without wires. Like we have integrated circuit boards or circuits and circuit boards. Circuit boards themselves kind of demonstrate how you don't need wires to have it. So anyway, you can see how I'm not an engineer. But I'm a PHP web developer, and I can't finish AdSense without cringing. It's my first language besides not C, Perl, HTML. Out of the womb, the first language I learned was HTML. So, you know, I literally had to learn how to do those little less than signs, greater than signs, and put words in them and put closing, you know, slash, regular slash, forward slash, not a backslash. Don't you hate it when dumb people that are like like politicians or somebody are speaking and they say, go to www. Yo, can you just tell me the website? www.http:// yo, shut the fuck up and tell me what I actually need to know to get to the www./ there's no backslash. There's no fucking backslash in a fucking URL unless you're escaping a slash. Unless you're escaping something. Yeah, technically you could put if you're escaping an underscore or a quote or a forward slash, you would use a backslash. You could even use a backslash to negate a backslash. Anyway, I hate when they do that, though. They go to www. It's like, shut the fuck up and tell me the way. Of course, this is a dated. Nobody actually says this anymore because websites have all been collated to just apps, which are owned by Zuckerberg. So now it's just like, go to Zuckerberg. They just say, go to social media. We're on social media. Follow us on social media. Okay, let's see. That sounds smarter than saying, go to http:// because now you sound like an idiot. Because you don't even know that that's the protocol, and we don't need to know the protocol. The computer already knows that that's the protocol. It's not FTP that we're talking about. Yeah, we're not going to an FTP server. Thank you. That is HTTP. Thank you for telling me that. Obviously, they don't do this anymore. Nobody's distributing website addresses anymore since the 2000s. Okay, I get it. I'm old. But if you're older than 30, if you're even, if you're about 30, you were alive before they just said follow us on some platform that we're not even smart enough to make ourselves. We're not even smart enough to make our own GeoCities website or Angel Fire. In MySpace was just that. Was just GeoCities for retards. It's okay, everybody has a website. No, I have a website on MySpace. We could connect to everybody else's website. And that was cool. Because it was cool. Social, because it was a network. Instead of just random websites that link to each other. Okay, now you got a nice little, also links, but people are the things you're clicking on. That's it. And that just took you to their personal page, which is all the exact same shit as everybody else. All the same shit. Just different colors, maybe. They let you change the border color, and they let you set your music. Other than that, every profile was exactly the same structure. I didn't like that. They let you put JavaScript back then, so I just redirected my MySpace to my own website, which was just a copy, but with my own custom HTML graphics. And I removed the ads, of course. They didn't really care back then. You could just do whatever you wanted. You could just forward a website to a completely foreign website, and the browser would not even care. That was a great time to be alive. Because now everything's regulated where it's like, yeah, is it okay if I put a cookie in your browser? Just for a second. Fucking pussies. Is it okay if I put a cookie on your computer? It's not like cookies have been around since the 90s. Literally, the 1990s is when cookies have started being around. And since then, they never left. They were just as popular. Since they were invented, they were the most popular thing. And they are still used. And there's more things that could be put on your computer with less, and they don't even ask. They could store data on your computer without asking. It's not a cookie, but those were invented in the 90s, so it's taken them a while to catch up with these other data structures that could be saved to your browser. It's not a cookie, but we don't care about that. because it's by Google. And Google, if it's made by Google, you don't care. We don't have a choice. They speak for us. They decide who we vote for. They're smarter than us. So anyway, back then, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just being nostalgic. For before people were pussy. Like people are like, oh, there's this country, there's this GDPR, which stands for Great Britain something I don't give a fuck about. And even American websites have these obnoxious banners that pop up on the bottom. Hey, according to Britain, we're assholes if we don't put this obnoxious banner that says how websites have been working since the 90s. Now that Britain, some country that we don't care about, they're interesting. We don't hate them, but we're not going to listen to I'm not going to listen to them. I don't get it. Why the fuck do so many websites have that cookie thing just because of Great Britain? Do they just go along with it because they feel like every business has to have? It's like, it's just one of the things every website. No, you don't have to listen to other countries. It's a standard that they decided is a law. Okay, I don't live in Britain. If Britain people come to my website, fuck them. I'm putting cookies on their computers without their permission because they decided to go on my website. Sorry, that's how networking works. If you connect to an IP address, it's going to do things. It's going to try to send data back. Some of that data will be a cookie. Ooh. You know what a cookie is? It's just more data that your browser decides to save. Whoopee. It's just permanent data instead of temporary data that the website downloads. The website does not download the data. You download the website. Sorry, I don't want to misspeak and sound dumb. For God's sake, what if a 25-year web developer says something? I don't know how long I've been doing. I've been doing it for more than 20 years, but not every day. I don't web develop every day. Why the hell would I do that? 25 years of just being a web developer? Yeah, pretty sure you'd move on to something bigger and better. Which I have, and that's what this is. This is what you do when you graduate from regular shit that challenges other people, that isn't that challenging to me because I'm a little smarter. Sorry. I guess I'm in that kind of mood where I just want to talk shit about the Re-dumb-lic. The Re-dumb-lic doesn't really sound that funny. Then the dumb publicans, just the idiocracy. The fact that we're kind of in like an anti-terrorism regime, anti-intellectualism. But who wants to say that? Let's just say the world's going to shit. They're retarded. That's more fun. So I keep looking at myself. in the monitor. Very, very distracting. Anyway, I'm talking to you. Obviously, if you're not retarded, which you're not, if you're watching this, you're not. Retarded people, they just click away the second I start talking. They go, oh, he's using tonalities that don't conform to whatever's popular at the time, which is not what I care about. Because that's usually 90% of everything's garbage. So if something's popular, 90% chance it's not good. It's just popular. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Usually, if something's popular, it probably is good. 90% of anything is probably bad, but that doesn't mean it's popular. It just means it exists. So maybe not 90%. Let's be a little more generous. But anyway, I'm not popular. I know that. Okay, I'll say that much. I know that I'm not anywhere close to that, and I know I don't want it. I know that what is popular is not what I want to be. So I don't know what I'm trying. I guess what I'm saying is, you could be super unpopular and still kind of worth something to somebody. It's just not a lot of people. Not a lot of people are interested in learning, first of all, continuing to learn as you age, gets hard. To keep that childlike open-mindedness of like, okay, here's another concept to learn about. That's kids don't like learning. Kids don't like learning. When I learned math as a kid, it was satisfying. When you actually learn something, even by force, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool that I know how this works, to take this weird math thing and get results out of it. It actually is kind of cool to learn and to learn stuff. But to keep doing that and to learn and to want to know what is true and not true and to keep going, meaning that you keep challenging yourself. You don't just accept something as true or not true and then accept that that's the case for the rest of your life. No, you got to keep revisiting everything, every fact. For the most part, every day you got to boot it. You got to recheck everything. Am I still who I am? Okay, I'm still this person. Okay, yeah, it's done. That takes 2 seconds. Okay, my socks. I got clean socks. That takes a couple seconds. Okay. Is God real? Okay. Not sure about that one. Okay, still thinking about that. You got to go through all these checks every day. You're like, okay, the sky is still up. Okay, I know that. Your ground is still down there. Forward is that way. Left. You got to know your directions. And you got to check. Is this still true? Is this still a good idea to be living in a house? Maybe they got something. Maybe they're smarter than me, the people that live in tents. I don't know. They seem to be more animated than me. Like they're busier people. I have a house. I'm not busy. I'm just kind of moping around, just like watching TV and shit. Not really. I don't watch TV. I just usually just sit there and just meditate. Literally just go like that. I go, okay. And then I go back to other shit. I don't just sit and watch TV. But those guys in tents are fucking killing it. You know, I got a house, but it's not going anywhere. They have tents that are going all over the place. So first you see a tent on one place, and they go, where'd the tent go? It's because they have to fucking keep going, man. They're moving. Because they're real people living real fucking lives. And I'm just some guy in a house just like, oh, I'm protected from the UV rays. Yeah, like a pussy. You know, I'm happy to have that because I look a lot younger than I actually am. At least to some people. To people that don't look very close, that don't know what pores are. Like, yeah, okay, I have pores that clearly show that I'm in my 30s. But sure, yeah, just say I'm in my 20s. Yeah. No, it's because I stay out of the sun. The fucking sun? Yeah, you need the sunlight, but it needs to be filtered. You can't just get all of it. Yeah, UV is not good. Not to get scientific on you. But I don't know if you noticed, but plants, they don't actually like UV light. They actually kind of reflect it. That's why they're green. Green is the opposite of purple. That's what violet is. Ultraviolet is the opposite of green. I don't know. That's just a dumb hypothesis. I don't know if that actually is why it bounces off of green. That's probably not. That's too simplistic. But there's a reason they're green. There's a fucking reason that plants are green. It's because they like blue light and red light, not green light, not ultraviolet. Magenta is the opposite of green. It's the complementary color of green, which means it's the opposite in quantum physics. Okay, now I'm just talking out of my ass again. I can't prove that right now. And also, I don't even know if that's a quantum physics thing or just a philosophical thing. What was I yelling about before I got into actual caring if I'm being truthful and like backing myself up? Because I don't care about doing that right now. That's in the second half of the show. What was I yammering on about? Oh yeah, sunlight kills all living organisms because of the wavelength is smaller than living organisms, or it's the same size to where it actually is bad. Like, have you noticed how all living organisms are just a little bit bigger, or bigger than light? The light rays going through them? Yeah. I sound like an idiot. Holy shit. Okay. Doesn't mean I am. It just means I'm going on a territory that doesn't mean it's not proven yet. Like, has this been proven? No, it's just philosophical. All I'm doing is pointing out that, like, have you noticed how microorganisms or single-celled organisms, the smallest of the smallest organisms, get killed by ultraviolet light? It's because the wavelength of that light, those rays of light, those photons, are actually going in a smaller wavelength than the organisms. Obviously, not all light, but that's not what kills it. It's the energy that kills. That's dangerous. It's not just the wavelength. It's the energy level. But whatever. It's not a coincidence that fucking the light rays, gamma rays, which are the smallest wavelengths of light that we call light, that no organisms are smaller than that. That's not a coincidence. It's because light kills anything smaller than that. I don't know. It's just a theory. It's just a hypothesis of like why life is the size it is. It has to be not killed by the environment. Okay? Jesus Christ. Okay, let's save enough. The reason I keep like talking like I'm a scientist is because I'm actually kind of like trying to learn the truth of what's going on in reality. So anyway, but we'll save that for the end of the show. I'm still talking shit about dumb people who think that the sun is just like this all encompassingly healthy beacon that you could just bask in all day. No, you're going to get cancer and you're going to look like you're going to look like shit. You're going to get wrinkles and you're going to look older than you are. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. You're going to look older. And the sun has bad light in it. We only want the good shit. You know? It's like with weed. It's the exact same thing. It's not even a metaphor. Weed is the sun. The sun is weed when you smoke the whole plant. That's what going out in the sun is. What smart people do is they just take a little bit of the spectrum of weed and they just smoke, CBD or just certain types of THCA or whatever, that THCB. There's a million of them. There's millions of cannabinoids or variations on cannabinoids, molecules that connect to your brain cells. The receptors in your brain, which I don't even know what the hell that means. When people say brain receptors, what does that mean? It's neurons of some kind, right? Delivering signals, right? I looked this up once, and I don't remember what I got. I don't know where the hell receptors live in the brain. They're all over the place, and they're just a type of neuron, right? Or they're a type of neural pathway. Either way, I don't know. I just know enough to know that the sun is the same thing as weed. Yeah, you could smoke the whole plant and get high, but not everybody wants to get high. They want to get the benefits of weed without the high. So that's why we split up just the wavelengths we want, just the little emission lines, single photons at single wavelengths. Everything's like that. Everything's a spectrum of many wavelengths that make up a more complex wavelength, and you could use math to separate them, called Fourier transforms. And I just learned about that a week ago, and I still don't know. I haven't done it yet. I just learned that that's how it works. That you could combine simpler waves to make complex waves. I mean, that's how synthesis works. I knew that with synthesis of music synthesizers. But anyway, I never looked into the math. I didn't know that. I didn't know nothing about it. Waves. Waves is pretty much everything in the universe is a wave or a particle, they say. Or it's a particle. Yeah, well, it just depends how you look at it and the interaction. It's all about context. Anyway, I'm not talking about science yet. I'm talking about people being dumb. I'm still on that topic because it's fun. And I'm dumb in many ways. And I pointed out when I'm dumb, and hopefully I try not to stay dumb. It's fun to be dumb in the past. It's not fun to be dumb in the present or the future. You know? Hopefully you don't. That's the whole point of the past, being a thing. That's why we even have the past, is because to learn from it. Now we're getting into fucking philosophy again and science, which, I don't know, that actually is science too. But I can't prove that. Yeah, we know that that things in science, particles literally go back in time. Like, I don't know. Okay, I just learned that. Literally, that particles go back in time. Just as much as they go forward in time, they oscillate backwards and forward in time. Okay, that's something I didn't know. So time is not just a one-way street. No, not on the quantum level. On the macro level, classical physics, that's where it appears that it's only going forward. But on the quantum level, it's going both ways equally. It's symmetrical, I guess. And that's what other people guess too. I guess there's a symmetry to the passage. It's not just forward. And then another theory is that the reason it is forward is because we decided. Somebody decided. They voted on it. It's like, okay, yeah, fine. We will have this forward in time dimension to do fun stuff with light and matter. But before that, there was this dark universe that had no such thing as time, no such thing as light even. I don't know. I don't know what was here before the universe, but this was even probably kind of during the universe. This was the early stages of the universe, when it was the singularity, the Big Bang, and particles had to decide what to do with themselves. Like, okay, we could just be opaque. We could be transparent. What do we want to do? They decided. They formed a consensus that, okay, fine, we'll vote on this. We'll have time go forward in this space. And space-time will be a thing. Space-time, it gets created as a emergent property of non-space-time interactions between space didn't start off 3D. It started off probably 2D, maybe a line, and then more things came around, and it's all an illusion. There's only one thing. It spread out. It got diffracted, refracted, whatever the hell the words are, for when something splits up into more than one thing. That's what consciousness is. It's just one consciousness turns into two and then three and four. But it really emanated from the same individual unit of information or consciousness, whatever. God, whatever you want to call it. Pretty much everybody kind of agrees on that. Even scientists kind of agree that there was a singularity and everything emanated from that one singularity, and they don't even know if time. Yeah, they know. They even think that time was a emergent property, not a thing that was blessed with the universe. The fundamental forces. Even scientists don't really know or think that there are such a thing as fundamental forces. They think that, okay, they maybe emerged in the early universe, and since then, that's how it stayed. If they were to say that there's such a thing as fundamental forces that are different, that is kind of weird, and that requires investigation. How could there be different things? I mean, it just doesn't make sense when everything else is the same thing. Why is it just arbitrarily separated? Why is the strong force separated from the weak force in gravity and electron? Why are those all separated, is what I'm saying. Well, they're not. They appear separated because of the properties being vastly different at different scales of electromagnetism, strong. We call them different forces, but they emerge from the same thing that was just not even a force. Who knows what the hell it was? It was in a form of intelligence. But for them, if you think there's fundamental particles, no, they don't say that. I used to think they did think that, because that'd be religious to think that that some god or something just blessed the universe with these fundamental particles that are completely distinct from each other. Like, okay, that might be possible. It just seems weird to be like, okay, why though? Why are they asymmetric? Why are they so very asymmetric? Why is dark matter so much more, why is there so much more dark energy? Why is there so much and so little of what we think is the most important thing? Why is there so little visible matter if that's all we care about? Well, I'm asking a lot of questions, and I don't know. I can't speak for what other people say. I can't speak for what scientists say, because they're all individuals, and they all have to... they all might be attached to something that they don't want to lose. That's the thing. I got nothing to lose except for my house, my health, my vanity, my personnel. Anyway, I don't have as much to lose as them, though. They have a PhD. To be a scientist, you kind of have to have a PhD. You can't just call yourself a scientist if you don't have a PhD. It's just not how it works. It's like being a doctor. You can't call yourself a doctor no matter how much you know about medicine. Even if you wrote a book on it, like the book on it, you'd still not be a doctor. I mean, you know, and that's funny to me, kind of. Not real. It's kind of funny because, what does that mean? Because you could be a healer. You just can't use the word doctor because there's laws. But you could use the word healer and be just as good as doctors, and it's legal. You'll get sued, but there's ways to make it legal. You just have to have people sign a bunch of shit that says, we know that you're not doctors. We know that you're just idiots. Or, well, I wouldn't be signing this if I knew. I know that you're just some guy on the internet who thinks he knows stuff, and that's why I'm letting you heal me with magic wands. Anyway, so what we're talking about? Oh yeah, so idiots, dumb people. So we all kind of, not to be negative or pessimistic, because I'm doing fine. I'm optimistic as balls. Because I don't have to only look at it through the narrow lens of what's happening on Earth. There's a lot of other things going on in the universe besides what's going on Earth. Thankfully, so I could just look up into the sky, whatever, stars, whatever. It doesn't even have to be nighttime. I could just look at the sky and be like, okay, there's other places. I could even look at the ground and go, oh, there's other places, thank God. Even hell is probably more interesting than America right now. But, interesting is not the right word, because America is interesting right now. It's just not good. You could be awful and still interesting. Like, I have some interesting things going on. Doesn't mean people like me, but it's interesting. Like, you could hate Hitler. Like, Hitler did some bad shit, but it was interesting. Like, if you had never heard of Hitler, you'd be pretty interested to hear about it, is all I'm saying. So, point is, yeah, America is in an intellectualism phraseology that started a long time ago, relatively long time ago. World War II. Yeah, that was a long time ago, dude. 80, it's only 80 years ago? Okay, it wasn't that long ago. 80 years is, it's a person. It's a full, almost a full life. It's a full life time ago. That ain't that long ago. To be doing it, to be going right back to it. Not they were going right back to it. But it's not that long ago. It's just funny how like people go like, okay, so there's the Soviet Union that went up all the way until 1989 or something. That was 35 years ago. And people miss it. I was a kid. People in my childhood classrooms came here from the Soviet Union. They just seemed to me like Russians. But they were like, no, I'm from the Soviet Union. Now it's Russia. But I ain't Russian. Yeah, I talk like a Russian. I blend in with other Russians. But I'm from the Soviet Union, motherfucker. I was like, that's cool. Don't know what that means. Sorry that you didn't win. But you had some cool icon, cool logo. Anyway, so then apparently you're allowed to say that. You're actually allowed to romanticize the Soviet Union. And even what I just did with the sickle and hammer, you're kind of allowed to romanticize that. Not even just on a surface level like I just did. Obviously, I don't fucking care about the actual beliefs behind it. It's just a cool logo. I don't know if communism is something I think it holds a lot of water. But it sounds good on paper. But anyway, to me, it's like it's not good to kill people, But it's popular if that idea is popular to not look at the negatives. It's like, okay, well, we don't like killing people, but never mind that. How about free money? Don't you like free shit? No, I don't. Me personally, no. But euphemistically or hypographically. Anyway, it really just comes down to a matter of morality. Yeah, I don't know if it's morality or just laziness and just greed and sin. Yeah, it's sins. And that is morality. To be greedy and think that money should just be given to you, that doesn't make sense, first of all, because it wouldn't be worth anything if it was just given away. So it doesn't take more than a child to kind of realize that it's bullshit. But let's just say, let's just go along with this. They like free money. By they, I just mean immoral people that are too lazy to be, they're sick. Lazy is not the right word. It's more than laziness. It's a religion. It's like, okay, I'm here I am. Where's my money? Where's my free shit? That's how they kind of approach reality. They go, well, I'm alive, so he's doing well. I see other people doing well, so why am I not? I'm alive too. That's kind of where the logic starts and ends. It starts with them going, well, here I am. I could see stuff. I could perceive stuff. Hey, that guy has a castle. I don't like that. And so they go, I don't like that he has that and I don't. And there's no logic to it. It's just like an emotion. It's just a very primitive emotion of jealousy and not greed. It's just jealousy. But if you think you deserve something without doing anything to get it, it's not, I don't know. Even that depends what it is. If it's food, okay, I don't think that's greedy to want food. But free money, yeah, there's a line, there's a limit. Yeah, theoretically, a population, if it's small enough, can feed all of their fucking constituents. So we don't need communism for that. So that's already another very easy to solve problem that does not need communism. It just needs something called, it starts with a C, charity. But people don't want to be charitable when everybody is just random assholes that they don't care about, right? So it's got to be a small population that actually has the same morals. So anyway, it comes down to morals and greed, and it's not greed, like I just said with the food thing. We got to think of something else. It's Is it entitlement? No, because they feel that they probably should at least have food. I don't know if that's what we're talking about though, because there's the so-called there's the privileged form of communism, and then there's the actual wanting food people. See, there's people. See, the people I'm talking. There's two different groups of people. There's actual poor people, and there's American privileged people that are just mentally ill, and that manifests in them having difficulties with finances. That's not poor. That's just being sick and retarded and mentally ill. I mean, those are the words. That's the words. Those are the words for it. You could use nicer words. Well, who gives a shit? They gotta know. I mean, it's not about being nice. It's about giving the information. It's about the truth. I'm not here to help. I mean, I am helping, but I'm not here to be nice, I guess. I'm not here to... What am I saying? You know, like, I guess I do know the answer to a lot of problems, but it doesn't... But being nice isn't really the way that it gets out. I didn't really think of this shit by being nice. I thought of it by just using something that kids have, which is just, hey, why is this the way it is? I don't know, just like curiosity. I'm curious as to why this is the case. There's probably a logical reason. And yeah, for pretty much everything in the universe, there's a logical reason. And that's what makes you kind of bored by it. And then you go, okay, maybe homeless people are right. So that's all I'm saying, is you got to keep re-examining everything. You got to have a healthy skepticism about anything, even if you're the one that you're talking about, even if you're talking about yourself. You can't just have this blind faith in yourself. It's like, I'm fucking awesome. Hey, it's got to be based on evidence. It's like, yeah, I believe in myself. Okay. You gotta have it. You gotta test it too. You gotta keep testing that belief. Any religion should be tested in some way, and once you test it, then okay. Oh, just too many topics to cover on one podcast, and I hate to say this, but I feel like I'm the only one qualified to do it. While I'm looking at myself in the fucking camera. I'm the only one qualified to actually fucking explain this shit in a productive manner, and it's mature. Mature. That's how I say. I say mature. Because it's very... So anyway, retardedness needs to come back as a word. See how I crack myself up very quietly again? I quietly laugh. Because I don't like laughing. Yeah, I don't like just laughing at my own jokes. Anyway, but I do like to laugh, but not, for some reason, I just never learned how to express how to laugh. Anyway, oh yeah, so the word retarded needs to come back. I know it hasn't really ever gone anywhere, but people who say that you can't say it, they need to be called retarded. That's what I'm saying. See, this is new. This is new information. This is like new age stuff that I'm spitting down. So I'm not talking about people that are born with mental retardation. No, we don't call those people retarded. We call them mentally retarded. We have other words. The context is what decides, We call them retarded, but different context. It's a different word, totally different meaning. So retarded, what it means is like somebody has delayed intellect, skills. People that are truly retarded, like Down syndrome, that's not delayed. No, that's intrinsic limitation. That's not something they're ever going to overcome. It's not really like the word retarded for them. I use the word retarded for regular people that happen to be not using their brains. Like literally, they're delayed in their skill of where they should be. They should be at a higher level. That's it. That's what retarded means. It's not used for people that have a permanent thing. Why would we insult somebody that has a permanent illness? No, this is for people that should know better. So if somebody scrunches up their face when you say the word retard in front of them, they're probably the ones who should be called retarded. I don't know. That'd be kind of funny. That wouldn't really make sense. If there's just somebody on the sidelines, if you call somebody, if you're in an argument or something, you call the other person retarded, and then somebody on the sidelines who's not a part of it, it just scrunches up their face because they don't like the word. Okay, I'm not gonna talk to them. I'm not gonna. That's fine. But if they interject in the conversation and go, "Hey, don't use that word," then guess who's gonna be called that word? Them. I'm gonna be like, "What, are you retarded? Of course we're gonna use that fucking word." It gets used the more you say not to use it. It's like one of those words. It's like, it's just like, you know, the more you try to get rid of it, the more it's going to be used. The reason for that is because we actually kind of like not being retarded. Some people actually kind of like not being retarded. That's why we use the word so often. It's because it's very effective at defining stuff we don't like. It's like, oh, you think that? Well, that's not true. Oh, you still think that after many, many times of it being proven wrong? Well, that's kind of retarded. Oh, you don't want to be retarded? Well, you should probably get smarter and not think stupid things then. And people might not call you retarded anymore. I don't know. It's kind of a fun word. I don't mind being called retarded. You know, it makes me feel like, okay, let me think about this. Maybe I'm retarded. If it's used in the wrong way, I go, okay, well, he's retarded. You know, it's really just the kind of word you just kind of have to fight back with fire. You fight fire with fire. You fight retarded with retarded. If somebody calls you retarded and you don't like it, it probably means they're retarded. Or you're retarded and you have an ego. You know? Also, maybe they just said in a rude way. That's another thing that could happen, is there's a nice way of going about calling somebody retarded. You can't just be, you know, there's a polite way of being like, oh, have you thought about, you know, even that might not be good, because it's actually probably better to just say, hey, that's kind of retarded. Hey, let's just get to the truth. Instead of this passive-aggressive, hey, you know, have you thought maybe? Because no, that's fucking even worse, to be honest. I'd rather have somebody just come into just tell me, hey, that's kind of retarded what you're doing there. Because then I'll at least know what the memo is that they're distributing. It's like, hey, that color right there shouldn't be that color. That's a retarded color. It hurts my eyes. Change it. Like, you know, instead of just saying, you know, I think maybe some people just have slightly different. No, if something's retarded, it should be called out. And that hasn't been happening since the 80s. Since the 90s is when we started to say, hey, don't say that. And that's fine. You know, we don't want to be bullying people for no reason, but bullying, it's still, the word is just a fucking word, and the bullying did not go down at all, and people still use words to bully people, and usually it's people that don't say retard that are the biggest bullies. You know, the people that tell you not to say retard are usually bullies that use other words as ad hominems. So they're actually doing the thing they're telling you not to do. Usually those are the same people. They're usually on the same team. They go, oh, we don't say retard, but we do say these words for these people. We have no problem with hate and bigotry and calling people negative words. It's just that this is one of our words. I don't know. I guess I do know. I don't know why I'm saying I don't know. The reason they do that is because they are actually literally pro-retard. They're pro-anti-intellectualism. They're anti-vaccine. They're anti-vaxxers. ... I'm letting time go by for intelligence. They're not, I'm just using the word anti-vaxxer to piss them off. Because they're anti-something, and if you're strongly opposed to something, that becomes a label and an identity. Whether you want it to or not, other people are going to put you into this category of anti-vax, of intellectualism. I just call it anti-vax for short because it's just the same thing. Anybody that has this super strong opinion that can't be swayed, anti-vaxxer. It's the same thing, whether it's for anything. COVID vaccines back in the day when that was a thing, literal vaccines, anything, religion, something that somebody is a dogmatic person about. That's what we use anti-vaxxer for. And we called it COVID deniers or something. Denier is another great one. So we will use that for these people too. These people that are these anti-vaxxers, they're also Holocaust deniers. I mean, not literally. I know I'm bending the usage of that word a little bit. Because I don't know, they probably don't literally deny the Holocaust, but they deny something that's true that led to the Holocaust, right? I don't know. That's a little bit more of a nuanced thing to connect. A little bit of a nuanced metaphor to actually be like, okay, you guys are Holocaust. You probably don't want to use totally made up, like, fake words for people, because then you're kind of just doing what they do. And I don't really see the point in that, because language kind of has to have a meaning to it. It has to have a meaning, or else it falls apart, and then people disappear because language is all that we have. I don't know. Not to spoil the show. Not this show. The reality. This is just a podcast where I happen to know stuff about stuff that's way more important than this or me. I'm just one person, but I know stuff that's important, that's relevant, at least, to pretty much everybody. And that makes me pretty valuable as an individual, only because other people don't know this shit. If other people knew this, I wouldn't be walking around like on my high horse. I wouldn't be talking like some smart guy if everybody just knew what I was saying. If this was second nature, or if this was common knowledge, to just hear that language is what we're made out of. If everybody knew that, or if that was at least common knowledge, if that was like established mainstream knowledge, maybe I wouldn't be talking like this. So until then, I'm going to keep talking as if I'm an expert on the subject, because I'm pretty much the only one. I'm the first one who thought of it. Anyway, what was I talking? Oh yeah, words have meaning. So when you use words that don't have the right meaning, like if you call somebody an anti-vaxxer and they're not actually an anti-vaxxer, that's not very good. So I don't like to do that. I was just joking, but they're anti-something. People that are anti-intellectualism, they're retarded, and they're pro-retard. They're pro-retardation, and that's not a good thing. And so that's why the whole reason I went on this diatribe is because there's actually this thing called intelligence in the not in the world. I know that's a thing that people don't savor. They go like in the whole world. No, this is not about the world. In the universe, in the whole universe, there's this thing called intelligence, not just the world. There's actually a bigger thing than just the world. There's actually there's actually a whole other, there's many other places you could go than the Earth. And there's intelligence everywhere in the universe. In fact, you wouldn't be able to get anywhere without it. Intelligence is what we're all doing. There's nothing that exists that does not exhibit or inhibit intelligence, that doesn't take in or give out or use or create or process information using intelligence of some kind. There's nothing in the universe that doesn't do that. So people should probably at least know about that, right? They should at least know that intelligence is important, that it exists. First of all, probably okay, let's back up a little bit. I'm being very generous with other people, assuming that they're smart. I've done this all my life. I just think, okay, if I'm smart, I don't feel smart. I just go, I just have normal thoughts. I assume other people also have the same normal thoughts that I have because they're true and they're based on reality and they took no effort to come up with. So that's why I thought that most people just kind of knew this shit. No, that's my mistake. I have to stop being humble because it's not getting me very far. So these fucking idiots on planet Earth, some of them think that intelligence is some subjective, relative thing that only is defined by humans. Like, there's no such thing as intelligence according to the universe, according to animals. It's such a human-made construct, intelligence. The IQ test is arbitrary. It's racist. So that's what they think. They think intelligence is just some bullshit thing that was just made up. And they go, well, it's actually, there's different kinds of intelligence. It's like, well, no. That's how they try to get out of this argument of why some people are not as smart as others. Because they want, equality. Who doesn't want, okay, I don't know if everybody wants that. Equality, that sounds boring as fuck. We don't actually want that, but we like the feeling of everybody at least feeling equal, you know what I'm saying. And since that's not the case, that everybody's even close to equal when it comes to intelligence, and of course, there's many ways that intelligence can manifest. Millions and billions of ways that it can manifest. Obviously, or else we'd all be the same. But intelligence on a fundamental level, raw level, is one thing. It's just pattern recognition and telling about those patterns. It's just describing true patterns in a different language. That's all intelligence really is. It's just being good at language processing and translating true patterns into languages. That's what intelligence is on a very simplistic level. It's taking meaning, translating it, and distributing it to others, and connecting meaning into more complex meaning, and taking complex meaning and turning it into more simple meaning. I mean, okay, you could extrapolate it on what it kind of is, but it involves language. And what is language? It's something that, it's just a pattern. Language is just a list of scribbly lines that denote meaning, symbols that denote meaning. Smartness is just using those symbols to condone other symbology, whatever. Very simplistic. But hey, it's better than saying, I don't know what it is. It's better than just saying, well, there's many kinds of intelligence. No, there's really not. There's many kinds of languages, but intelligence is all the same thing. It's just taking one language, translating it into another, using metaphor. That's it. That's all intelligence is. It's how good you are at metaphor. So, yeah, there's not really that many kinds of that, and that really is just learning, translating, teaching, in, out. Something goes in, it gets processed, it goes out like a factory. The raw materials go in, something beautiful, finely crafted comes out. Hopefully, that's what intelligence is. Even if you don't say anything, you could be smart, but we won't know unless you say something. Intelligence requires speech or language of some kind. There is not that many kinds of intelligence when you realize that it can't be expressed without language. So yeah, you could say there's many kinds of languages, but intelligence can't be condoned, cannot be measured without language. And you could say, wait, what about like a athlete? What language is that? That's not a language. They're just good at basketball. They're just good at golf or some shit. It's like, that's a language. There's rules. They have to stay within the defined rules of whatever game it is. And there's syntax and grammar. They're just metaphor for what they're allowed to do. They have to create, it's a language. It's a dialect. Just because it's movement doesn't mean it's not a language. It's called body language. When something goes in the hoop, that's meaningful to us. It has a semantic meaning. Without the language, everything falls apart. If we didn't know the meaning behind something, we wouldn't care about the sport. And how do we know about the meaning? Well, we see with our eyes. Okay, if we can't understand what our eyes are seeing, somebody needs to tell us what is happening. That takes language. Also, the thing itself is language. Sports is a language. Sorry to have to break everything down into one thing. I don't know, I'm sorry to be the guy to say this, but yeah, I haven't really been able to disprove it. I don't really even fully believe it, this theory. It's a framework, and it makes you really smarter when you realize this. Anyway, the point is, so language is what intelligence is, and comes down to, because that's what everything is. Everything's a language, so the better you are at speaking languages, the smarter you're going to appear. The more languages you speak, the smarter you are. Going to appear to others. And the more valuable you're going to be. Anyway, it's rich. You're going to have more richness in your consciousness the more languages you speak, because you'll have more things to relate to, and you won't just be living in this thin, narrow existence of just caring about shallow bullshit, because you'll have semantic meaning. Anyway, I was not done. I was still talking about how dumb people are they don't believe in, first of all, they don't know what it is. They don't know that it just comes down to language processing. Even if that's physical, even if that's non-spoken languages, everything's a language. Even humans are languages. Isn't that crazy? What else? So they don't know what it is. And then they deny that it's a thing when they do know that it's obviously, okay. So people know that intelligence is real, I hope. At some level, they at least know that it's real. But then they deny it by saying there's many kinds of intelligence. It's like, no, there's many ways that it manifests, but it's all the same fucking thing. And it all doesn't take brain power. Like, intelligence could just be kinesthetic. That's still intelligence, still language. Even if it's not using your brain, there's other intelligence happening in your body. You have multiple brains. You have your gut biome. That's almost as smart as your upstairs, and your heart sends signals. Anyway, you could think with your heart in some sense. So anyway, now that so it's just kind of, so what that leads to, and it did start with World War II, so going back to that history lesson, is people did take it as a lesson. They got, okay, they saw, they got, I don't know why I said, they went and said, okay, all these people were killed. We don't like that. They go, okay, racism probably bad. But that took so long. Yeah. The World War II thing, they didn't immediately start caring about racism. They just cared about, okay, maybe we probably shouldn't probably shouldn't be genocidal. They didn't all of a sudden start loving the Jews. They didn't all of a sudden start caring about black people. No. That took another 20 years. And so then they started going, okay, maybe we should probably not segregate people or whatever. That's when they started segregating. It took them 20 years to get crazy in the Jim Crow laws. So anyway, they got more conscious of racism after that, but it wouldn't have happened even probably if not for the Holocaust. That's because that was racially motivated. It was genocide, based on identity. So they didn't like that. So okay, let's throw away this. We gotta, because that's what they did after World War II. Immediately after World War II, they threw away the field of scientific racism. They just decided all of a sudden, this is invalid. This is now pseudoscience, even though centuries before and in the 40s, it was definitely not pseudoscience. It's not pseudoscience. It's some of it is not true because of experiments been proven wrong. Doesn't mean it's pseudo. Doesn't mean the whole thing is pseudoscience. That there's to study race on a scientific level. Yeah, that's not wrong. Nothing invalid about that. To just study race. There is a science to it, I'm pretty sure. It's not just that people just imagine that some people are different colors and look different and speak or shaped different completely, not completely, but there's a real thing. Most people can tell that race is a real biological fact. So 1945, very conveniently, right after the war, that was involved in race and scientific racism is what fueled some of the fucking Nazis believed in, they were using that science, even though it was not necessarily good science. It's really hard to deny that there's differences between the race, very hard to deny that there's at least some biological and definitely psychological, definitely intellectual differences between. Obviously, you'd have to be really dumb to think that they're all the same. Maybe not even intellectually. That is hard to detect if somebody's smart just by their race. Just that they're different. There's a different, mindset, and they act different. Is that all cultural? Yeah, probably not. If it's so very much, you could rely on it like a clock. You could kind of rely on these stereotypes being true like a clock. Yeah, it's probably not just something we made up out of racism. I don't think racism's what created the stereotypes. I think the stereotypes is what led to the racism. Anyway, racism is not good. I don't think it's good to hate anybody just because they're a different fucking race. I'm just saying, to deny that there's a difference, then you're kind of fucking racist, right? You're kind of denying reality, and you're denying people's identities and their cultures. That implies that they had to work to look different than white people. They had to put a lot of effort into that. They didn't want to look the same as everybody else. We should respect that they are indeed different. And they themselves feel that they are different. Or else, why the fuck would they want to be segregated in colleges? Okay, there's just one group, one specific incident, I guess. Whatever, it's not just one incident. Every race likes to be around their own people. And we should respect that they are indeed a little different. On a scientific, there's a definite difference, not just something we made up. It's very clear there's a difference between many features. Don't know how deep it goes, but we know pretty deep. Because, Jews are just smarter. they tend to be smarter in conversation. I haven't tested them, but if you're talking to somebody that's Jewish, they're going to be smarter. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And they're probably going to be smarter. They're going to be more relatable. Maybe it's because I'm Jewish, but I'm not Jewish. I'm only half Jewish. Doesn't matter. The point is, you could have a little bit of Jewish DNA, and that makes you smarter. Sometimes. There's a strong correlation between genetics and intelligence, is all I'm saying. Environment is also a huge factor, because you could get smarter. I got smarter. 2 weeks. I used to be dumb a couple years ago. But anyway, I'm just kidding. Anyway, most people, you start off as a kid, as a genius, and then you get dumb, and then sometimes you just stay dumb. Anyway, so we covered that. We covered anti-intellectualism. It started with being afraid of racism, so they blocked out a lot of scientific research. And this is just one example of how science, as a community, as a foundation, as a organization, as an institution, that's the word. Institutions are bad. Individuals are good. When an institution decides, we're not studying this, we're no longer accepting this as a fact, and that's it. We're closing the door. We're shutting the door on this, and we will dispatch you. You will no longer be a scientist if you even think about research. Anyway, so that's what's been happening for many decades. It's gotten worse over the past few decades, but probably, even in the 70s, I don't know. I don't fucking know when they started caring about this shit, but I just know you can't do it now. Right now, it is interesting to be alive because science is a religion that needs to be updated very badly. It's causing a lot of harm. Is it helping? Yeah, but not really, because we already got all the data. It's not helping, actually. It's just making us more anti-intellectual because they act like they know everything. It has to go through Neil deGrasse Tyson's lips or else it's not true. It has to go through somebody that's on TV or is part of a very famous institution for it to be true, which is religion. That's what religion is. It's like, okay, it's got to go through a bishop for it to be true. It's exactly the same thing as religion. That's how science has become with anything that they don't want to accept as true, even though I thought science was about finding how reality works. So that's, in case you're wondering, that is one of the reasons why we don't know how gravity works. It's because we got scared of being called racist. That's it. That's it. And there is some merit in that. There is some merit in, I don't know. No, there wasn't. The truth will always be the truth. And if it leads to negative consequences, that's not the truth's fault. That's the person's fault who's doing it. Like the A-bomb. The dude who thought of the A-bomb, who developed the A-bomb, forgot why I'm bringing this up. Oh, yeah, because it's the truth. He knew that once you split an atom, it could have a cascading effect to release energy. And it was obvious that it's like, okay, well, it's just a matter of time before other people figure this out. So that's kind of how I am with this thing that I figured out. Is like, well, it's true. I'm pretty sure it's true, at least. Very hard to disprove. You'd have to be God. You'd have to have godlike abilities to disprove it. You'd have to know more than any human to disprove it. You'd have to be an alien of some kind to disprove it, and they won't disprove it because it's true. So I think it's true. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I just know that I came up with this thing that's probably true about reality that nobody has said before, And you could dig around, and there's many things that come up that are similar, like panpsychism, the holographic principle, information theory itself, which is quantum mechanics. It's up to date. Quantum computing acknowledges that information is communicable through particles. They call it information going into a black hole. They don't know what happens once it goes in. They think it just gets stuck in there and just sits in there like a nest, like a fucking, it just sits there like a rock. Information, yeah, it just sits in a black hole. Then why are black holes so much less heavy than the things supposedly that they consumed? Many, many problems in science thanks to them requiring you to go through this bullshit. I mean, I figured it out. It's not staying up. It's not just consuming it and storing it up and hoarding it like a squirrel. Or I need all these nuts for the winter. That's not what black holes do. Or else they'd probably be a lot more massive. It's really weird that I'm the one that I don't know. I didn't think I was this smart. I don't even know if it's even intelligence that allowed me to have this information. I think it's just curiosity. And you could call that intelligence because I'm able to wade through all this ugliness and get just the valuable parts and pull. That does take intelligence to actually go through to get to see this pattern and for it to be a true pattern and for me to come back with it and only come back with this true information and not anything else. So I'm not schizophrenic, or else then I wouldn't be able to get anywhere because I would have all this other shit that came along with it. That's the beauty. Like schizophrenics, I don't know what it's like to be schizophrenic. I don't fucking know. But they supposedly get a lot of information and they see patterns, and these patterns they believe to be true. But they're not. Some of them might be true. We don't know. Maybe they are true on some metaphorical level that we can't detect. They're just using words that don't line up with our reality, so we just don't perceive it as true. I don't actually know. It's possible they are perceiving reality perfectly well. It's just that the translation is something getting mixed up into the translation process. Also, there could be many different types of schizophrenia where they know that it's not true, but I don't fucking know. Because what I have is kind of like schizophrenia, where I do think it's true. That's a hallucination. If you think it's true, you're crazy. That's what's called schizo. Except I'm not saying anything else. I'm just saying this one thing is true, and there's a lot of other nonsense that I can't say is true that I'm also thinking about. Like the black hole thing, spitting out dark matter. Is that something I will say is true 100%? No. It's a theory. It's better than anything else that's come out in the past 40 years about black holes. It's a theory that helps explain many unsolved problems in astronomy, like a whole slew of them. But I'm not saying it's true for sure. It's got to be proven. The thing I am saying I believe 100%, and I do kind of believe the thing about Dogmatic. I'm not saying it's not a hallucination. It's different than this next one. I'm open to being proven wrong. You know, that was just a thought I had. I was just like, this other thing was a hallucination. This other thing that I think is true, that we live in a linguiverse, a fractal linguiverse network of languages connected like nodes. Yeah, okay, that's the one that needs to be kind of taken a little bit more delicately, because I'm kind of devoting myself to it. I don't know. I don't know if I want to keep talking about this, is what I'm saying. I need to get off the air. I've been going too long, but I dedicated myself to science. I realized I'm a smart guy. I already knew I was smart, but I found out that there's not really many people smarter that like on the planet, at least that I know. You know, you could go on YouTube and watch Roger Penrose talk about quantum physics and his theory on how reality looks on a quantum level, and that's it. That's as far up the ladder you could go. He's the highest expert authority on the subject. Stephen Hawking's dead. There's other theoretical physicists. None of them, but Roger Penrose, I think, pretty much one of the top authorities on the subject, and even he doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. He's never even thought about this. And I understand everything he's saying. Nothing he says is like too advanced for me. It's he who needs to understand what I'm saying, which I gotta catch up to him first. Because, yeah, I understand what he's saying on a very low level. I understand what he's saying about spinners, because I came up with a similar framework. I don't know the math yet. That's the thing. Once I catch up on the math, then I will be just as capable of communicating this as much as he or any physicist. And that's kind of scary, because that means there's no one to talk to. It's pretty lonely. It's like me, and I just look out the window. I go, maybe there's a UFO that I could talk to, some extraterrestrial, non-human intelligence, because I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who knows this shit. That's like public about it, you know? That's gone public. And but who gives a fuck? Because I'm just the first. I'm just one of the early ones. Big what? It's like being an early adopter to Bitcoin. Okay, so what? So you're one of the first. Doesn't mean you invented it. So the point is everybody's gonna figure this out. I'm just waiting for other people to figure it out. Until then, I'm just learning a lot about how particles work and what particles even fucking are. Fucking A, man. Pisses me off.